Strengthening relationships with our brothers and sisters is especially important as we move deeper into the last days. In our next segment from our series, Lessons from the Watchtower, we'll learn how to build strong friendships.
Friends give me help when I need them the most. They make me laugh, they give me practical assistance whenever I need them. They're just a real source of joy in my life.
When I see my dear friends going through difficult times but still serving Jehovah, that really encourages me with my trials.
Friendship, it just enhances and enriches a person's life. I don't think that friendship is something that I find too natural. I'm shy by nature, I'm hesitant by nature, I feel inadequate by nature.
In my mind, Barak was simply Jeremiah's secretary. I'd never considered that after spending so much time together, it would have allowed them to draw closer as friends.
When I studied the article about Jeremiah and Barak, it made me reflect on friendships that I have. But when you work together for Jehovah, it takes your friendship to another level.
Jehovah's people will have a depth and a dimension to their friendships which will not be shared by those who are not serving Jehovah.
In the article, I really loved the point about communication. Being open with others, it allows them to be open with you. That just allows a friendship to flourish.
I can have a very bad view of myself. I appreciated the reminder that you will see the bad side of any friend. That's just normal. But good friends remind you of your good side. That is like Jehovah talking and reminding me how much I'm loved by him.
So we're watching the Lessons from the Watchtower segment in the latest September 2021 JW Broadcasting episode, and wow, isn't it cringeworthy? And I'm sure many of you watching this who've had experience in the Jehovah's Witness religion, particularly those of you who are now being shunned by Jehovah's Witnesses because you no longer see things the way they do, you'll just be floored at the level of hypocrisy. The fact that they can celebrate Jehovah's Witness friendship as being uniquely special. You're only going to find it here. When you have friendship in the Jehovah's Witness religion, you're friends for life. Nothing's ever going to happen to your friendship. Things are just going to be really tight forever. Not really the experience, is it? It's not even a case of being shunned when you're disfellowshipped. As anyone who's been a Jehovah's Witness will know, you can be shunned even though you are technically in good standing as a Jehovah's Witness, meaning you haven't been reproved or disfellowshipped, simply because you've stopped attending meetings, or simply because you're not doing something that's quite the way you're supposed to do it. For example, watching the wrong kind of entertainment or wearing the wrong kind of clothes. There are any number of reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses have license to treat someone as bad association and effectively shun them even though they are fellow worshippers, even though they are still in the religion, they haven't yet been disfellowshipped. So for them to produce this sickly propaganda that paints a totally unrealistic picture, it's just laughable. In fact, it's so unrealistic. I love the part where the guy says,
In my mind, Barak was simply Jeremiah's secretary. I'd never considered that after spending so much time together, it would have allowed them to draw closer as friends.
yeah, in my mind, Barak was simply Jeremiah's secretary. And trust me, I've been thinking a lot about Barak through my years as a Jehovah's Witness. Barak is one of many Bible characters that's constantly on my mind. And whenever I've thought about Barak, perhaps when I've been lying awake at night, unable to sleep, just going through this catalogue of Bible characters that I'm constantly thinking about. Whenever I think about Barak, it never occurs to me that he could have been more than Jeremiah's secretary. He could have been a real friend. Oh, come on. Nobody thinks about Barak. Nobody thinks about obscure Bible characters in that sort of depth. This, for me, was a telltale sign that actually a lot of what we're watching or a lot of what we're hearing is scripted. Or at the very least, witnesses have been encouraged to prepare thoughts, prepare comments that make them sound super spiritual, when in reality, again, how on earth are you going to fixate on obscure Bible characters to that degree? But for me, the worst part of this segment wasn't so much how unrealistic these stories are, or how fake and sickly these fake displays of friendship and affection are. It was more the claim that gets made by this guy who effectively says, it's not just that we have friendship in the Jehovah's Witness religion, our friendship is even better than anything they have outside.
Jehovah's people will have a depth and a dimension to their friendships which will not be shared by those who are not serving Jehovah.
Jehovah's people have a depth and a dimension to their friendships that can't be shared by people who aren't serving Jehovah. Well, that's just preposterous. I mean, depth, if you're talking the depth of a Jehovah's Witness friendship, well, it's paper thin, isn't it? Or at least it evaporates. Any love or friendship evaporates the moment you stop believing as your friend does. So how you can call that sort of conditional friendship deep in any meaningful sense is beyond me. It's just an absurd claim. As to the dimension of Jehovah's Witness friendship, well, I guess it's true that Jehovah's Witnesses have a different dimension to their friendship than those on the outside. They have a cult dimension to their friendship, don't they? They have a conditional dimension to their friendship, as far as I'm concerned, which isn't anything for them to be bragging about. But seriously, it's one thing to say, oh, Jehovah's Witness friendships are just the same as anyone else's, but to go one step further in a group like Jehovah's Witnesses that literally ejects you and where you're literally treated as though you're dead the moment you stop believing, or the moment someone stops believing, for them to make that sort of claim isn't just absurd, it's insulting.
I'd heard that Keith, an older brother, was returning to Britain for some medical treatment. He was much loved, deeply respected. You try and picture and imagine what's going through his mind, his fears, anxieties. I felt very inadequate, but I realised it would be the loving and kind thing to do to speak to him. So we spent some time together, we talked. I felt honoured just to say a prayer with someone like that. I was really touched by Keith's response. He clearly deeply appreciated that, and I felt thrilled to have done just a little something that helped, that supported him.
Is it just me, or is this a non-story? Some guy called Keith returns to Britain for medical treatment. He's much loved and much respected, and this elder guy, I'm assuming he's an elder, sits down in the library with his Bible to do research and decides it's the loving thing to do to visit Keith and have a meal with him and encourage him. And this is a story that's worth reenacting on a JW broadcasting episode to reinforce this notion that there's no friendship quite like a Jehovah's Witness friendship. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed at all with this story. It's a non-story. Nothing really has happened here at all other than Someone's come to the UK to have medical treatment and they've been visited. So what? There's nothing interesting here, or nothing that we really learn that establishes that there's anything unique or special about Jehovah's Witness friendship.
I've worked with someone that I never expected to become very close to. Charlotte, she's the opposite to me, but I came to realize quite early on she's an amazing listener. Charlotte is more than a friend. She's now family.
I love my family very, very much. At the moment, I'm the only one in my family who is one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But I've never felt I was truly alone. Jehovah always provided brothers, sisters, mothers, uncles, aunties. He's always given me everyone I needed.
I feel I've had a lesson powerfully reinforced of the blessings of genuine friendship. When we make an effort just to give Jehovah a little something, he can add his blessing.
In my experience, the person you don't expect actually turns out to be a very special friend. When you work with different brothers and sisters, I really appreciate they are gifts from Jehovah.
And he'll give all of you into your hands.
Working hard for Jehovah and being genuine, that will attract other brothers and sisters. We will never forget the friendships that we make right now. Jehovah will use those friendships to help us through the Great Tribulation.
Well, thankfully, thus ends this exciting installment of Lessons from the Watchtower, in which we've learned that apparently it's not just that you can have friendships in the Jehovah's Witness religion. These friendships are superior to anything that anyone can experience outside the organization. They have greater depth and dimension, apparently, even though, as I've said, you can be dropped like a ton of bricks the moment you express doubt, or the moment you stop attending meetings or stop doing the preaching work. You'll be singled out as bad association. You'll be treated as though there's something wrong with you, as though you're defective in some way, even though we know this is the true nature of life in the Jehovah's Witness religion. They think that just by putting out this sickly sweet propaganda, all will be forgotten, and they can just somehow convince each other being other Jehovah's Witnesses, that there's no friendship quite like a Jehovah's Witness friendship. Well, I'm not buying it. All we've heard there are vacuous statements, fluffy little sound bites that don't in any way reflect the reality of relationships within this organization.
Those helpful suggestions appeared in the November 2019 issue of the Watchtower. That article emphasized the importance of forging strong friendships now before the end of this system comes. During the Great Tribulation, God's enemies may try to disrupt our unity, but we can be confident that nothing will break our bonds of love. Our friendships will last not only through the end of this system, but for all eternity.
If you say so, Patrick. Well, doesn't this just give us more evidence of how paranoid and desperate this organization is? Everything's got to apparently tie into the last days and the Great Tribulation and the need for Jehovah's Witnesses to stick as close to the organization as possible.
During the Great Tribulation, God's enemies may try to disrupt our unity, but we can be confident that nothing will break our bonds of love.
Yes, nothing will break our bonds of love, apart from someone no longer believing as we do, in which case we're going to have to shun them and stop loving them. When you tie in that talk by David Splain at the 2021 Powerful by Faith Convention about apostates and the media being out to get Jehovah's Witnesses, Isn't it obvious that they are running scared? They are desperate. And they want Jehovah's Witnesses to feel as though the end is near. We're on the threshold of the new world, as Patrick Lafranca said earlier. The last days of the last days. And things are going to get worse and worse. So we need to stick as close as possible to the organisation. In this case, they're making out that the organisation is unique in its friendships that are apparently unbreakable, even though that's just not the experience, not the honest experience of anyone who's spent any time in this religion. They can jump up and down and they can persuade themselves that theirs is a loving organisation where people look out for each other, where friendships will last for all eternity. But that's simply not the lived experience of the many who've seen their Jehovah's Witness friendships evaporate simply for daring to no longer believe.